Hello, this is the new and improved Citroen E-C4, and here's to hoping that second time's the charm. I'm not saying that the original E-C4 wasn't a good car. I personally really admired its principles of simplicity, comfort and efficiency, but it did just fall slightly short of the mark relative to some of its rivals, and since it came out, the competition has gotten even stiffer. So, have Citroen, with this newly facelifted car, given the E-C4 that missing piece to the poulet? Well, let's have a poke and prod around it and see if we can find out. And stick around till the end of this video for an early sneak peek at the new and improved and even cuter than before Citroen Ami. Welcome to the E-C4 and welcome to the Fully Charged Show. Right then, new E-C4. Just to say, the reason I'm excited about this car is because I love the little E-C3 so much. Honestly, aside from the Ami, that was the one that really made me stand up and start paying attention to Citroen. And if they can blow some of that magic onto its slightly less exciting bigger brother, then we're going to have a very good car on our hands. And again, I'm not saying that the original C4 was bad, but when you say things like this in the press release, you know you are ever so slightly clutching at straws. This is real. The C4 ranked second in Europe in the first half of 2024 in the mainstream C-segment compact saloon market, all energies combined. Let's get that one framed on the wall. Anyway, let's talk about the new design at the front, because this is a new Citroen Ollie inspired face. Remember the Ollie, that really cool, super boxy concept car? Well, that is informing Citroen design language and some of its other principles we'll touch on in a moment. But you can see the influence, you can see it in those very, very horizontal DRLs. You can see it in this new badge, which is now housed in a little oval shape. The old badge used to really bug Citroen's designers because it wasn't in a kind of housing, so they'd have to spread it along the grills of the car, and it was annoying to them. It limited their creativity. This unlocks their creativity. That's what we were just told in the press conference. Anyway, this is not chrome. That's significant. Citroen is on what it calls a chrome detox, because chrome is not very sustainable. I don't actually know why that is. Does it come from chrome trees that you have to cut down? It's chrome from like an animal of some sort? It's an exotic bird? I don't know, but it's bad and it's gone. These are fun, these little colourful clips. They're exactly the same as the ones on the Citroen E-C3, so if you have both cars you could swap them over, and there's different colour ones and there's fun flags you can put on there. It's a smart looking face, I think more striking than the old C4, but most noticeably to me it's a bit less SUV-y and a bit more saloony. There's more body colour down here. The design details are just intended to draw your eye a little bit lower, and the same on the side. Things like the plastic cladding on the outside are much thinner. They don't protrude as much as they did on the old C4, and that's a deliberate effort to slightly saloonify the C4. Could this be the beginning of the end of the SUV obsession? Are we going to start making saloon cars again? A man can dream. We can skip the side, Andy, because it's the same doors, same roofline as the old C4, new wheels. They're quite cool. And then at the back we have a new light signature. Again, designed to bring the eye a bit lower. They used to be kind of here, the tail lights. Now they're a little bit lower down, which draws your eye slightly lower down and theoretically gives a slightly more fastbacky, saloony look. I do find this piece, which is filling in the gap where the old lights were, a bit upsetting, but I'll let it slide. We've got those horizontal streaks in the running lights here as well. And yeah. A quick word on the interior of this new facelifted E-C4. Very little to report in here. Much is as it was before, but we do have a new iteration of Citroen's advanced comfort seats, now with even more squish. No, seriously, extra foam and a new kind of quilted texture. And I tell you what, they are very, very comfortable. These will be standard across all UK cars. And when you pair those with Citroen's patented advanced comfort suspension technology, where they use these like hydraulic whoopee cushions to just dissipate the impact of nasty bumps in the road, The result is an exceptionally relaxing car to drive. I was reminded how good that suspension system is in the little C3, and it's present and correct here as well. Only other thing that's new is we've got a larger 7-inch gauge cluster in front of us. The 5-inch one of the previous car did feel a bit too small. And just a quick observation on the interior and the dash in general, I would call it a triumph of sensible thinking. There's physical buttons for the climate and physical buttons on the wheel, and everything is going to be very familiar to you from your outgoing car. What it isn't is especially exciting or posh. Certainly compared to something like a Volvo EX30 or a Kia EV3, which start at the same sort of price as this car, it is a bit dreary. Back seats. Now, good news back here. Lots of legroom, even with the seat all the way back in my driving position. Let's bear in mind, this sits on Stellantis' multi-energy platform. There are hybrid versions of this car, which means they have to accommodate an engine in the front, or at least leave room for one. And yet, really decent legroom back here. Headroom, pretty good, pretty good. That roofline does slope a little bit, and obviously you are going to pay for that ever so slightly in headroom, but I would be happy back here for a medium, even the occasional long distance journey. Now, what you haven't heard me talk about anywhere in this video thus far is price and range, and that is because surprisingly there is very little to report there. Typically, when a car brand facelifts an EV, they'll just give it an extra 5 odd kilowatt hours of battery just so they can say, hey, it's got more range than the predecessor. But Citroen is standing firm with this car. They say we're happy with the price point, and actually we're really proud of the efficiency. We don't want to give it extra battery material because we think that's a lazy way of making electric cars go further. And I do absolutely agree with that, I have to say. It's also worth noting that the C4 is pretty good on the efficiency front. I think 4 odd miles per kilowatt hour in the real world is entirely possible. Citroen claims that the redesign of the front of this car will make that number even easier to achieve, if not a greater efficiency still. And that means that the two models that you can get with either a 50 kilowatt hour or 54 kilowatt hour battery should be able to exceed the 200, 220 odd respective mile ranges of the pre-facelift cars. With all that being said, while I do really admire Citroen's commitment to not over batterying their electric cars in the name of affordability and lightness and efficiency and sustainability, while I agree with that principle, I do just wonder if it's hurting the E-C4 by not having that big range, big battery option. Given that when it comes to so many of this car's rivals, that does appear to be the most popular version of the car, that 300-mile version for people who maybe don't have their own driveway, charging is inconvenient, or do longer trips more often. I admire Citroen, I admire their staunch position on the matter, but I can't help but wonder if in 2024, with our charging infrastructure still not quite where we need it to be, it's a little bit of an oversight not to prioritise range. Whew, that sounded a bit grown up for a second there, surprised myself. Let's balance that out by doing something very childish and having a look at the new Ami. Oh, and would you take a look at this? It's the newly facelifted Citroen Ami. They've tried to make it even cuter. I think it looks like a little train now with this simplified front and these circular headlights in the plastic housing. I really, really, really like this new look. Couple new details around the side as well. Look at the wheel covers, come on. These, by the way, if you curb it, you can just put another one on. They assure us that the actual production wheel cover will not come off quite as easy as that because it will be stolen. Round the back, again, very, very simple, even cleaner, little circular brake lights in the black plastic housing. I love the orange badge. That's another Citroen Ollie motif that's carried over, and this is cool as well. You see these little strakes here on this panel? They're on the front right and they're on the back left, and that's because it's the exact same panel mirrored. They've just made 2 of them, saving production costs by reusing parts. That's another Citroen Ollie idea that's made it to production. So there we have it, a little bonus look at the new Ami. I genuinely adore these cars, microcars in general. You see them all over France, parked on the end of streets, available to rent via apps. And I wish we had something similar in the UK, because if we did, if we had little rentable microcars everywhere, I don't think many of us would actually need to own a car. As for the Citroen E-C4 outside? Well, I'm very excited to give it a drive and see how much even more comfortabler they've made it. I continue to question whether the lack of a long-range, big battery version is a bit of a misstep from Citroen, but you can't help but admire their commitment to simplicity, efficiency, comfort. I just can't help but think that those values work best on smaller, cheaper cars. So can we have maybe something in between this and the C3 next, an EC1, an EC2, perchance? Just an idea. Anyway, there you go, 2 cars, full of price of one. Please make sure to like and subscribe, and if you have been, thanks for